A narcissist is an autist wearing a mask, and so is a psychopath. There are no developmental differences whatsoever between a person correctly diagnosed with autism compared with a person correctly diagnosed with being a narcissist. Zero, zilch, nada, nothing. Each will possess the neurodivergent triad of developmental brain differences, these being firstly, an enlarged amygdala, secondly, an enlarged prefrontal cortex with turbocharged wiring density, and lastly, a curtailment of long-range connectivity to the other people processing back of the brain regions. The only identifiable difference between a narcissist and an autist is a narc has a mask, whereas the autist does not. A mask is not a developmental difference. It is a mental construct, a persona that some refer to as the false self. Another way of thinking about the difference between a narcissist and an autist is that the narcissist has consciously and deliberately crafted a functional interface to the social world, and the autist recoils from such dangerous pursuits. The autist is more authentically himself, whereas the narcissist is a pretender, a chameleon, a charlatan, a liar, and a fake. Each has chosen a different coping strategy, period. For an autistic person to become an independent person, he has to find ways of producing value on the fringes of social groups. He is more likely to be a scientist or an engineer or an accountant or some other specialist artisan who doesn't need to interact with many people in order to find his niche. A narcissist, on the other hand, revels in the hustle and bustle of the neurotypical world by masquerading as some contrived version of normal. So, what is the false self, this mask exactly? It is always a contradiction to the quivering blob of shame-ridden jelly at the core of anyone on the spectrum. The shame, embarrassment, and paranoia associated with the feeling of being unloved and abandoned as an infant who got little attention is codified into the oversized amygdala. But as the child grows, he may begin to realize that he is not so substandard, not so ugly, not deformed, and actually good-looking and competitive. As these realizations become proven time and time again, he begins to push back on the unjust, unmeritocratic world that betrayed him. This pushing back at the wicked world through developing a functioning opposite to the blob of jelly is the conscious construction of a mask of sanity that characterizes narcissism. On the other hand, if no such proof of worth occurs during childhood, then the person may remain autistic for life. He may forever seek support and eternally shy away from the world of other people. He will at best retreat into the world of the inanimate and become a specialist artisan. At worst, he will sink into serious mental illness. In fact, all the mental illnesses in the book are born of this process. This is because it is impossible to be mentally ill without anxiety, and it is impossible to be chronically anxious without infantile abandonment trauma. If an autistic person goes down the route of creating a mask to cope with the world and become successful, then he may sometimes go on to become a psychopath. Over years of successful masking, his amygdala will start to shrink back to normal size. But rather than stick with a normal-sized amygdala, he might well just carry on becoming even less fearful to the point where the individual transcends narcissism and becomes a psychopath. His amygdala might shrink to the point that he has not felt fear for so long that he has forgotten what it even feels like to be afraid. He no longer feels fear or relates to others that feel fear. He will be a risk-taker, a CEO type, an Elon Musk type, a daredevil, perhaps a pioneering surgeon. He might, on the other hand, become a merciless criminal. In short, all the best and worst people in the world are narcissistic psychopaths. Jesus Christ, Elon Musk, Mahatma Gandhi, Donald Trump, Charles Manson, the Buddha. Take your pick. They all fit the bill. In conclusion, the intricate interplay between narcissism, autism, and psychopathy highlights how different coping mechanisms emerge from shared neurodevelopmental traits. While both narcissists and autists share the same neurological foundations, Their divergent paths, one embracing a mask to interface with the social world, the other often retreating into solitude, underscore the profound impact of early life experiences and societal interaction. Narcissists and autists both grapple with feelings of abandonment and anxiety, but while the narcissist crafts a false self to thrive in the neurotypical world, the autist remains more authentically themselves, often avoiding the complexities of social engagement. Ultimately, these coping strategies can lead to very different outcomes, some of which result in greatness, while others may foster darker paths. The line between creativity and destruction, genius and madness, lies in the coping choices made and the extent to which fear or its absence shapes one's trajectory.